Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio. You're here with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast in Australia, where it's very hot and steamy here. It's over 30 degrees Celsius, or in the old temperatures, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can appreciate we're in the smack bang in the middle of summer now, and I absolutely adore summer. It's my favourite time of the year, along with Christmas. So I know for those of you that are freezing cold and trudging through the snow, you must think, how dreadful would that be, being hot and steamy and heading towards the beach for Christmas Day instead of being snuggled up inside with a lovely log fire going and your beautiful Christmas winter jumper on, your Christmas jumpers that you all knit, and sitting there sipping on eggnog. Well, here in Australia, we do it a little bit differently. People go out and buy a special sun protection, what they call a rashie, which is like a long sleeve T-shirt that you can ride with your surfboard or just in the ocean, and they have Christmas prints on them now, so we don't miss out on that tradition here in Australia. We just do it in reverse so we can go swimming. So I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas from all of us here at A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. It's been an absolutely fabulous year to be with you, and I will be back again next year. But for those people that are not having such a very pleasant, positive time around the world, and we have to think about that because there's lots of people that are by themselves or have had recent losses or even losses that happened a while ago that still leave a very, very big hole in their heart. And it can be a very, very difficult time of the year for people to come to terms with things like that. And many people are on their own and don't have anybody to share it with. I always try and make sure that I reach out to at least one person at Christmas, whether it be a neighbour or somebody that I know that's going to be on their own or doesn't have family close by, and I try and do something nice for them, whether it's bake them some shortbread or just pop in and say hello or invite them over for a little drink or something like that. Do something to make their day a little bit more special. I think if each and every one of us tried that, we'd make the world a better place. So I will apologise again for my voice. It's a little bit improved on last week. Not much, but a bit better than it was last week. The last week I've done nothing but rest my voice. For many people, I'd say that's a good idea. You stop talking for a while, Amanda. Maybe the planets wanted you to do that. Well, maybe they did. But anyway, focusing on the card of the week. And I felt it was a very interesting card to get just prior to Christmas in the light of things that the 78 tarot cards that I could have pulled, and I would have thought for something like the sun or the star or even maybe the moon. I was a little bit surprised when I drew this card because it's the card of strength. And it was like, oh, how does that apply to our Christmas message? But the card of strength is an interesting choice because it is about our inner strength. It is about confrontation with ourselves or others. And I don't know about you, but I've certainly had many a Christmas in days gone by when all my rowdy relatives were still alive and they were a lot younger, and, you know, they'd all have a couple of beers or, you know, a couple of frothy drinks, shall we say, and tempers would get a little bit frayed, and it was never Christmas when I was a little kid without my dad and his brothers having a punch-up in Nana's backyard. So, you know, I mean, there's always, I suppose, some sort of confrontation that can go on, or people start to air things that have bugged them all year. Well, let's try and change the tradition this year, and let's try and make it a very joyful one. And maybe the confrontation can be with ourselves. Pardon me, is there something that we need to look about at ourselves and say that we'll endeavour to put that on our list of New Year's resolutions about making changes in our lives that can bring benefit to us. So I thought it was only fitting this week, with it being Christmas and talking about loved ones that we've lost that won't be with us at the Christmas table this year. And look, I can honestly say to you, it's been over 30 years since the first love of my life passed away, the father of my children, and there isn't a Christmas that goes by where I don't get a bit teary, a little bit emotional, and think what could have been or what should have been had he not tragically gone all those years ago. And I, like so many other people, tried to keep family traditions alive well after the event. My children are now well and truly grown and in their 30s and laugh at me and say, oh, Mum, Dad wouldn't expect you to do this or that or the other at Christmas. And I'm sure I've mentioned it before on the show. My late husband he just loved Christmas. Christmas started in the beginning of November and finished after his birthday in March, in some varying degrees of Christmas decorations and trees and tinsel and lights going up and down and sideways and everything in between. So, and our star always had to reach the top of the roof. I always make sure I do that. And we always had a fresh tree. Well, this year I'm breaking with tradition. I bought one of those new modern ones with the twinkly lights on it, a fibre optic tree this year where you don't even put the lights on it, you turn it on and off, it blinks. So we're changing traditions this year. So whatever's important to you, make sure that you honour it and make sure that you remember the ones that you've loved. So my choice of candle this week has to be my Angel in the Sky. I know it will be burning brightly on my Christmas table. I'll have 2 or 3 of them going in honour of people that I have no longer have in my family. One of them will be my late husband and my dad and my nan and lots of close friends that have passed away over the years, that too many to mention, and all went far too soon. But I think it's these losses that we have in our lives, or these challenges, that make us the person that we become, because we do try and take some sort of tradition or something forward with us from these people that are no longer with us. And it's a perfect time of the year to honour them and remember them and talk about them, and talk about them in a positive way, as if they were still here. Oh, if Dad was here, Dad would like such and such. That's a great way to honour them, and they are around us. They're with us every single day, and they know everything that goes on. So wouldn't it be nice to inflate their egos a little bit at the Christmas table when you tell some of their funny stories, some of the things that they used to get up to when they were here, and maybe that will be sort of bring a lot more joy and laughter into the household as well. So I think everybody can sort of put their thinking cap on and have one little funny story to share at the Christmas table this year. So moving on with our 4-part series, this week we're up to our final part of Neptune in Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. And it's really, really interesting because Neptune is a planet that gets a lot of bad press. And I know I've said this before. Everybody thinks about Neptune and they think, oh, the trickster, somebody that's playing tricks on you, somebody that's trying to deceive you, somebody that's trying to hurt you in some way, somebody that's not being truthful. Well, yes, that can be partly Neptune's role. But the other side of Neptune in a very, very positive way is extensive and the most amazing creativity. It's where our imagination comes from. It's where our light bulb moments come from. It gives us a different perspective or a different way of dealing with or looking at issues or problems or situations in our lives. It brings a degree of freshness and newness and sort of breaks up the old and says, well, okay, that wasn't working. Why don't we try this? Why don't we look at it from this angle? So Neptune plays a very important role in our astrology chart, even though it's known as an outer planet and it's one that's not considered a personal planet. I've always believed that Neptune plays a very major role in a natal astrology chart, because it does show us your own very type of personal creativity. Where does it come from? How do you problem solve things? What do you do when somebody's deceiving you? How do you deal with the situation? Do you confront it head on, or do you sort of let it lie and sort of try and resolve it in another way? So this is why Neptune is so very important. So when we look at Neptune in Capricorn, pardon me, we look at here almost like two major energies fighting with each other, because Neptune wants to be top dog, and so does certainly Capricorn. Capricorn doesn't like to be in the shadows in any race. He likes to be the boss. He feels that he's got more importance and more standing in the community than any other astrological sign, because he's Capricorn and he rules all the big business and governments and things like that. So yes, he does feel that he has a place in the zodiac to be really important and tower over the rest of us and tell us what to do. So it's interesting when these two join forces, because Neptune can share with Capricorn the illusion or the delusion, or if something is going on, that particularly with governments we see around the world at the moment, with all these scandals and things being released and things being shared with the media, and finally things are coming out into the open. And I really put this towards Neptune's role in Capricorn. Not that Neptune's in Capricorn at the moment, but if you had Neptune in Capricorn in your chart, it would give you the ability to be able to reveal other people's secrets, particularly on a big level. Not necessarily on a personal level, but on a, a very big level you would be able to do so. So just be aware here with Neptune and Capricorn that you don't lose sight of everything's got to be on such a grand scale. Make sure that you look at it on a personal level too. Sometimes it's easy to just sidestep the personal issues and the things that we need to look at. So Neptune and Aquarius, now this is a really funny combination, because again, two very strong energies, and both of them want to be top dog again. But the difference here is Neptune can be quite flexible. Neptune can really sort of egg on, if you want to, or encourage the Aquarian energy, in as much as the Aquarian energy likes to shock. It likes to be different. It likes to sort of stand out in the crowd. It likes to sort of do things that you're not expecting. Neptune says, hip hip hooray, let's go. Let's create something shocking. Let's create something that's going to get worldwide attention. Let's do it right now in a big, dynamic, fast way. I'm on board. So you have to be very careful of these two together, that they don't spur each other on that much that they actually lose sight of what the project was, or the issue or the situation they were both trying to help each other solve, and go into this competition of the ego. So just be a little bit aware of that. If you have Neptune in Aquarius, sometimes you can just run away with yourself and lose sight of the actual project at hand. So the final sign is Neptune in Pisces. Well, this is what's considered a modern ruler. In the olden days, when I say the olden days, less than 100 years ago, we used to consider Jupiter ruled Pisces. But when Neptune was discovered and we started working with it, we then gave Neptune the placement of ruling Pisces. I have always felt that Neptune rules Pisces. It feels very, very comfortable there. I'm not saying that Jupiter wasn't a good fit, but it wasn't a perfect fit in my opinion, because Neptune here to me is just, it's a home, because Neptune loves to work and wander around in the mist and the steam and the illusionary and the delusionary sort of things, and come out of the fog. And Pisces certainly loves to create the gaseous steam and sort of the illusionary sort of things, that everything can be magical and not everything has to be looked at in a very logical or practical way. So the two of them just go hand in hand here. And a lot of times you see some of the most creative people in the world have Neptune in Pisces, and this is where their vivid imagination comes from. This is where their ability to create blockbuster films come from, because they see no boundaries. They can visualise it in their mind's eye of what they want to create, and then they go about recreating it on the film set or in the words that they use in a book or a novel or whatever. So sometimes people with Neptune in Pisces don't necessarily want to grow up and don't necessarily want to take responsibility for their actions. They'd rather be in this creative mode all the time, and that's very understandable. Pardon me. I have to keep clearing my throat. I do apologise. So this week I know that we're nearly out of the energy of the new moon in Sagittarius, but I couldn't let it go past without mentioning it, because it's the last new moon for the year. It is in Sag, and we've got another roughly 24 hours of this, depending on what part of the world that you're in, before this really sort of starts to taper off. So if you haven't already set your intentions of what you'd like to bring in the next month and wind up for the year and sort of probably get a head start on the new year, now is the perfect time, because this is the time you set the new opportunities down, the things that you would like to bring in, the things that are new, things that you may have been working on for a while, but we're really going to get behind it and give it a great push now. This is a time of intense honesty, because the Sagittarian energy is about higher mind stuff, is about spiritual energy, is about everything that denotes Christmas. So I think it's really interesting that we've got the new moon only days out from Christmas, sort of really giving us that final push towards what the season really means for each and every one of us, and how maybe we can take it into a much better phase into the new year. So I hope that you will set some intentions, even if it's only a couple of things and you put them on your smartphone and go back to them a bit later. At least they're there and you've done something with it. If you have time, write something down on a piece of paper, pop it under a candle for half an hour, make sure you read it out aloud, so that you're reaffirming what it is that you're looking for to bring or change into your life. So it's a really powerful final new moon for the year, so I hope you haven't wasted it. I know I haven't been feeling too well, so I haven't done as much as I would normally do around a new moon, but I've done a little bit, and I think that's what we can all aim for, is a little bit at this very busy time of the year. We usually have a 4-part series that we talk about each week on the show. Next week I won't be starting a new 4-part series, because I want to focus that little segment on Saturn moving into Capricorn. How will that affect all of us, and what will it mean for you? Because Saturn will start his lengthy 2.5-year journey into Capricorn next week. Oh, well, before next week. But so I want to focus on that next week. So I hope you tune in to watch that. It's a really interesting time of the year at the moment as we look around the universe and what is actually happening with the astrological stars that are moving, dancing around our universe. And we've had such a tumultuous time. We've had the new moon in Sagittarius. We've got the sun still in Sagittarius only momentarily. He will be moving into Capricorn very soon. We've got also Mercury's retrograde will be coming to an end on about the 24th or the 25th, depending on where you are around the world. And that will signal the end of Mercury retrograde, which has been where communications and things have gone haywire, computers have broken down, television sets have played up, you name it, anything connected with communication has had a little bit of a trial in this last couple of weeks. So we'll be pleased to see the back end of Mercury going retrograde and sort of slowing down and ready to go direct again. Really, if we use a benchmark of about the 26th is when Mercury will really start to rev up to go forward. And it's around that time that, you know, we've also seen the change of the sun signs from Sagittarius into Capricorn. We'll also be seeing Saturn moving out of Sagittarius into Capricorn. So there's a lot of emphasis shifting out of the Sagittarian energy, out of the higher mind stuff and sort of a little bit footloose and fancy free, into the more rigid, more practical, more domineering sort of sign of Capricorn in some ways, where, you know, it's time to get down to business. You know, we've had our playtime, we've had our time to sort of be spiritual and you know, waft off with the fairies if that's what you've chosen to do. Well, now it's time to get down to business and start to look at where we're going and how we're going to make money and what we can do to improve the world. And so I think it's going to be a very, very interesting time. So we're going to take our first caller, and our first caller is Ashley in Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. Are you there, Ashley?
Yes.
Yeah. How can I help you, sweetie? Do you have a particular question I can answer for you, Ashley?
I have a lot going on with my daughter. She's 8. A lot of court-related stuff with her biological father.
Right.
Just kind of like a general reading, I guess, on what's going, you know, possible outcomes.
Okay. All right. Court-related things and legal matters are something technically by law we're not supposed to handle, Ashley. What I can do is skirt around the edges of that without sort of looking to break the law in either your country or mine. That's just a general rule of thumb. We're not allowed to do that around the world. So, but what I am seeing as you were talking to me about that, they were showing me the sign of things coming to an end. So that to me is a good sign at this point. If you've been battling this on and off with your daughter's father for some time, which I know you have been, it's like we're finally coming to the end of it. I don't know that he's necessarily going to back down and give you all your wishes, because that's not in his nature. He's one of these sort of what I would describe as a fairly destructive sort of man. He'd go out and set his hearts on winning just for the sake of winning, not for what's best for his daughter. It'd be more about his own ego. And that's the thing that has been the troubling thing all the way through it, is he hasn't considered what's best for his daughter. You know, it's not about you two. You're just the parents. It's what is in your daughter's best interests, and he's lost sight of that. It's interesting because when he's away from you and your daughter, and he talks about this with other people, you'd almost think that it's a completely different man to the one that you and I know to be true. You know, he sits there and he says all the right things, that how he's putting his daughter first and he just wants the best for her and all this sort of stuff. And it makes me so angry that he's able to do this and brainwash other people into believing he's such an angel when he's not. He's the exact opposite. You know, he's never once considered his daughter. So I do feel from what they're showing me, this is coming to an end and you will have a smile on your face. So I'm taking it from that, from the little pieces that I'm allowed to pick up and work with, that the end result will be within something that you're comfortable with. I don't say you've got everything you had on the wish list, but it's reasonable. And you'll be able to...
Is he still in the picture?
I think he's going to disappear out of the picture. Look, I think he'll have a bit of more of a hiss and a roar for the first 3 or 4 months of next year, and then I think he's just going to disappear out of the equation, because I think he's going to fall in love again, and that's going to be more important to him than his daughter.
Okay. So that's a cycle.
Over time, I think his input will be less and less. So I think that's pleasing.
Okay, thank you. I needed to hear that. I'm married, and my husband wants to take on full responsibility for my daughter.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, and I mean, he would do an amazing job, but I think what you need to do now is just go back and try and focus on your own family with your daughter and your husband, and try and make this festive period as stress-free as you can and make it a special turning point. Because the one thing that you don't want from your daughter's father is to let him know that he's winning, because that's like putting kerosene on the fire. So if he thinks he's not, then that's taking the wind out of his sails, and then it's like, well, what's it all for? Because he's only doing it to stroke his own ego. He's not doing it out of love for his daughter. That I can guarantee you.
Yep, you're exactly right. That is right on the money, because he's always said that he would use her, he would rather use her as spite work against me and to remain to have control over me than to have her.
Exactly. But they were showing me by March, everything seems to be a lot clearer. It's like the floodgates open up and it's like we can flush him out of the road.
Good.
Yeah, which is good. But going back to you and your current husband, are the two of you looking at making some very major changes in the first 3 months of next year? Is there a new job on the horizon, or the potential of a move or something, or talk of lots of changes there? Because there's some really exciting stuff coming up for you guys.
We have been talking about moving. Current financial situations are, my husband is disabled, so he is not able to work right now, so our finances are kind of in the balance. We have been talking about wanting to move, though. We've been doing some remodeling to our current home as to be able to sell it.
Improvement. Yeah, okay. They were showing me a change of residence, but they were also showing me, when they show me a change of work, that's always a change of income. However your income is structured, I always just assume it's work. So it's like they were showing me a change of how the income was structured, and things were going to get easier. Things were going to be much better.
Okay.
So that's what you need to hang on to. So anyway, I've got you guys have an absolutely fabulous Christmas, and I know you're on the right track, and don't let your ex-partner get on top of you. He doesn't deserve it.
Thank you.
My pleasure, Ashley. Have a nice Christmas, love. Merry Christmas too, sweetie. Now we're going to go to Janine in St. Johnsville in New York. Are you there, Janine?
Yes, I am.
How can I help you, sweetie? Do you have a question I can answer for you?
Just finances and where it's going from here. I'm just in the process of closing my store.
Okay. I know that was a very difficult decision for you, Jeannie, wasn't it, to make those choices to close everything down.
Very.
And I can really feel the emotional heart pull, like it was like it nearly crushed you. And I want everybody to know that, because it wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't something that you just did flippantly. You did everything that you could to prevent that from happening. Now, having said that, I think you need to be aware of that you have made the right decision, even though it doesn't feel like that. It is the right decision, because it was slowly strangling you. And what needs to happen now is that we need to be able to sort of pull like these vines off you that have been strangling you and holding you back, and getting you ready for the next phase of your life. And that's what's actually sort of happening. Even though you're in the throes of closing the business down now, I still feel that there's still tidy up there till about late February. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah. I'm considering closing it like in the next week or so, but I'm hoping for some new interest and stuff to take hold.
Yeah, I don't know that you're necessarily going to find a buyer for it, but there's something changing there, and to me it's not all wrapped up in a neat bow until about late February. But I do feel the next area that you're going into with your life will be nowhere near as stressful as this was, Jeannie. This was really stressful for you over a very long period of time. So
that'll be welcomed.
Yeah, look, I see you going back to work and those sort of things, because I do see income coming in. But I also sort of feel it's sort of like you're going to get to halfway through next year and you're going to say, oh, I can breathe. You realise then how much stress you must have been under to how different you feel then. And it's like you almost feel like you're brand new again, like you've moved on from all this, you've released all the emotional stuff, all the financial pressures, you've got your life back on track, and finally you feel like you can breathe, you can see a new life opening up. And I think it's even going to make your health improve too, because to me, you've been dragging your body around for so long. I don't think you realise how much stress you've been putting into your body. You've got a small idea, but I don't think you really realise how much of that was attributed to you being in the wrong place, trying to keep the doors open to this business that probably should have gone 12 months ago.
Yeah, probably. I've been trying to keep things floating, but I've just decided in the last month that I'm done with it. And I need to pick up the pieces and go on from here.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, we do things way past the use-by date, and that's because we're human, and that's where our human stubbornness comes in, you know, that we don't want to seem as if we're defeated. And it's not even a defeat. It's so stupid. I mean, I've done that many times myself. I call it stickability. I've got the biggest amount of stickability there is right to the end, way past the use-by date, and, you know, 3 laps around the oval as well, before I'll give up on something. So I can understand your determination to keep it going, but what they were showing me was we should have done this 12 months ago, but hey, we're here now. The next year is going to be very different, and they were showing me you jumping up and down for joy, that, you know, you were dancing a jig, you were having a good time, you were up, you were free, you could breathe, you could run, you could laugh, you could jump, and there was just, I don't know whether there's someone special in your life, but they were showing me all these pink hearts being blown everywhere. So I can only take from that, if there's no one special in your life, there's someone coming.
There is someone new in my life, yes.
Well,
someone
that
very
relationship
special.
must be going to be going through the roof once you get rid of all this stress, in the most positive of ways.
Oh, thank you.
And I just
It's
know
been greatly appreciated.
Yeah, but you're going to look back, when we get to the end of next year, you're going to look back at this time and this reading and say to yourself, gee, what a shame I didn't do it 12 months earlier. Look at the life I've had in this last 12 months. You know, I felt free, I felt young again, and that's really wonderful. So you have an absolutely wonderful Christmas, Jeannie, and just know that you're doing the right thing. There's a precise right time for things to be done, and you've just caught it just in the nick of time before it went into the wrong time. You know, that you'd left it too long.
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful holiday.
I will. Look forward to talking to you again. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, or whatever way that you celebrate it around this amazing globe of ours. We will be back again next week to talk about Saturn moving into Capricorn and how that might affect each and every one of us. It's going to be an action-packed year as we head into 2018. We'll have, you know, lots of exciting things coming up in the universe. But most importantly, I want you to be kind to yourself. Raise a glass, even if you don't drink like me, you know, raise a glass of lemonade. And remember the people that are in our lives that are so special, and the people that aren't with us any longer that are still special to us all. And have a very, very happy and Merry Christmas, and love each other. Be kind to each other and do something kind for somebody else. Happy holidays.